shut up, you listen to my monkey mouth. There's a companion when you got pun on the Kanoa route. Hopped in a portal and got in a fight, Elias knocked him out. Bow, Naruto fighting style. Bow, UFC he tapped out. Bow, we win, we get crowned. Monkey mouth, monkey mouth, monkey mouth, monkey mouth.
What is up, Armchair Army? This is Joshua as always, and thank you all for tuning in to the UFC 287 review. And as you can see, the arrangement has changed. So I don't know if you've been following along for a while. My business partner Mikey decided to move on, doing something different now, and everything's amicable, but it ain't really my place to speak on what he has going on or why he left. So maybe one day I'll have him on The Ones Who Woke Up or one of the other podcasts, and you'll get to hear it from him, what was going on or what have you. But at the end of the day, love him to death, great guy, and but the studio's gone now, so we're going to be doing it out of my home. This is my bedroom. We'll be doing this for a while until I figure out something better or whatever, man. We're going to figure it out, but the armchair isn't going anywhere. And on that note, I hope you guys all had a good Easter. If you celebrate Easter or whatever. I got a 2-year-old, so I threw eggs around the backyard and let him hang out and chase down eggs and have a good time. And it was also my little niece's birthday, so we went and hung out with her. So it was a big weekend for my boy. And also, sorry for this one dropping a little later than usual. Usually I have this out by midweek, and things were just crazy, man. I mean, I moved everything out of the studio by myself and got this all set up myself overnight, and it's been a lot to get everything moved and get everything back up and going. It took a lot to get that place set up in the first place, and it happened over a long period of time. Built it up, and to have to take it all down and do it all together again in one night was a lot. But I'm ultimately really happy that I did it. But that's enough about me and what I got going on. We're here to talk and listen to about fights. And 287 lived up to the hype, dog. It was great. It was such a good fight card. And yeah, I'm a big Izzy dork, right? Y'all heard me fucking fawning over. I'm a nut hugger to the fucking fullest for Izzy, bro. He's the Octakage. The motherfucker is the Hokage of the octagon, the Kage of the cage, man. And he dope on a rope, that motherfucker. And it was like straight up like dope on a cage, right? Kage in the cage in there, man. It was really, really beautiful. My brother, when we were watching the fights, like immediately after it happened, remarked that he felt like Izzy had been playing a little possum there, and then literally Izzy said he was playing possum in the post-fight interview. So Izzy had the whole world fooled except for my brother. My brother saw that. He saw it for what it was. I had been remarking earlier in the night how when Alex gets people backed up against the cage, he just unloads, right? He drops his hands and just starts throwing bombs because people generally can't generate the torque that they need to send threatening strikes back when they're up against the cage, right? And Izzy literally proved me wrong on that. His back was against the cage and took him down, and the celebration afterwards, bro, the 3 arrows, how dope. I thought it was 3 arrows for 3 right hands, but it was actually 3 arrows for the 3 losses that he'd taken to Alex in the past. So, I mean, Izzy's just playing higher dimensional chess than the rest of us, homie. He's got this shit planned out, and I just couldn't be happier for him, man. It literally took I jumped out of my seat whenever it happened. I was elated, to say the least. I also knew exactly what Izzy was doing whenever that fool flopped on the ground. I knew exactly who he was mocking. I knew exactly what they were calling back to. So if you're unfamiliar, whenever Alex knocked Izzy out in kickboxing back in the day, Alex's son got in there into the ring and like flopped on the ground and act like he was stiff, knocked out in front of Izzy, bro, on some just like hellaciously disrespectful kiddo shit. And then Izzy, king of pettiness, bro, found that kid in the fucking stadium and looked him in the fucking face and stiffed up and like called back to whenever that kid mocked him in the past. And you know, some people are saying it's classless for him to go and mock a child and whatever. Maybe it is, but at the end of the day, it definitely blew my skirt up. You know, I'm a big Aussie dork. I'm a big Izzy dork, and he can do no wrong in my book. So it was pure entertainment for me. Man, and Israel put him to sleep at his sleep. Like the big right hand, and then he hurt him and he 1-2'd him and put him down, and then he hit him with a fucking hammer fist sent from heaven itself, man. It was pretty goddamn legendary. And you know, Izzy is saying that he feels like this chapter's over for him, and maybe it's over for him, but I don't think it's over for the fans, and I don't think it's over for the UFC, and I don't think it's over for the quarterly return of the shareholders of WME. You know what I'm saying? There's big money on the table for this one right now, homie. Like, it's yeah, like first off, Izzy's behind in the series, right? And it's 1-1 in MMA. So I feel like I personally would love to see the rubber match. I think a rubber match needs to happen. I think that it's 1-1 in mixed martial arts, and until they settle it, it's not settled in my book, you know. But either way, whatever happens next is going to be what happens next. I know that you know, Izzy matches up well with Jamal Hill. I think it'd be really dope for Jamal Hill to get that payday, right? I'm a big Jamal Hill fan, and you know, Izzy, outside of Conor McGregor, is the biggest star in the sport, right? So there's no bigger payday for Jamal Hill. So it'd be cool for Jamal Hill. It'd be cool for Izzy, and if Izzy wins that fight and becomes a 2-division champ, there's 0% chance. I mean, I think Dan Hooker even said something about this online, saying that there's 0% chance that if Izzy wins that fight, he doesn't go and chase John to heavyweight. So, you know, we'll see, man. We'll see. I know at this point I don't doubt Izzy, right? I mean, Izzy didn't look like quite the world beater that he is whenever he fought Jan Blachowicz at 205. So, you know, we'll see how he'll look, and we'll see how he'll look. He moves all the way up to heavyweight. There's no telling, right? But it's a captivating potential storyline, to say the least. But, you know, at the end of the day, it was all respect between these two fighters. Whenever there's video floating around of them two linking up backstage, and them just being, you know, strictly respectful to one another, and it being all kind and shit. So I think that's really cool that they're able to, you know, be grown men about this shit. But that's probably all we need to talk about on that fight. You know, I don't know what's next for Alex, right? I mean, well, I think it ought to be a rematch, right? Maybe give them one fight each. I don't know if I'm the biggest fan of the immediate rematch shit, but I definitely want to see rematches. But maybe sometimes give these guys an opportunity to get a fight between, right? But I don't know. You know, that's something for the UFC and the fighters to work out individually. But I think in some circumstances, a fight for both fighters between the rematch could be potentially beneficial, both in terms of it letting the beat build, right, so that you can build up more hype, right? Like if Alex went and just sent someone to Pluto and Israel went and just completely outclassed somebody, right, then it would be like, well, we gotta do the fight. We gotta do it, right? Not we're doing it and some people are going to be upset about it. It's, man, we gave them other fighters and they both won, and like now there's no other real matchup to make. And so, you know, I don't know. I feel like they could let the beat build and kind of get some more money out of some of these fights if they were a little bit more patient instead of just doing these immediate rematches all the time. But like I said, armchair executive too, right? Not just armchair mixed martial artist, but I don't think he matches up too great with many of the guys at the top of the division, right? I mean, obviously he's going to be bigger and stronger and is going to punch harder than anybody else that he fights. So he's going to have distinct advantages in every matchup that you can come up with for him. But I just think that most of the guys up there have the capacity to wrestle, and if it came right down to it, they would wind up just wrestling the shit out of him. Let me see something real quick. But so, I don't know, man. I don't know who they wind up giving him, to be really honest. But I hope it winds up being another match with Israel. That's ultimately what your boy wants. Make no mistake about it. But moving on down the card, we had Gilbert Burns and Jorge Masvidal. This was such a fun fight. It went about the way I think everybody expected, but Jorge is a dog, right? He went in there and made it fun. But by the end of the third round, it was clear that Gilbert Burns was beating the brakes off of Jorge Masvidal. And, Gilbert Burns continues to climb, but ultimately the thing that everybody's talking about when it comes to this fight is that Jorge Masvidal retired, man. Homie's got like over 50 pro fights. Dude was fighting in backyards alongside Kimbo Slice. The man has part of the MMA history with the fastest knockout in MMA history with that knee. Also just the place and time, right, where Askren was coming over from one championship, and there was this big conversation about how the athletes from one would compare to the athletes from the UFC, and it was almost like a UFC versus one feel, and Jorge went in there and like defended the UFC and got the fastest knockout in the UFC's history against the guy coming in from one championship, and it really kind of in the mind of many viewers solidified the UFC as a significantly more a better promotion than one, right? That's where you're going to find the top talent, right? Ben was an undefeated champion at one, and then he got sent to Pluto in 5 seconds by Jorge Masvidal, so it's just clearly levels to this shit, and one's here and UFC's here, and Jorge Masvidal was instrumental in clarifying that for a significant portion of the viewer base. So, he's just got like a real like weird role, right, where he played a bunch of weird parts in the community, and everybody has all the respect in the world for him, and I'm happy for him. This sport isn't pleasant to people on the way out, right? He could have, it all comes back to Bigfoot Silva for me, right? You can always go out like Bigfoot Silva. And Jorge decided to, go out when he was more or less on top. And I can't be upset at the guy for that. And, he kept it super real in his interview, right? Where he's like, look, man, eventually in sports, people lose that edge that made them who they were. Right, your favorite quarterback loses that rocket of an arm. Your favorite running back loses that step. Your favorite basketball player loses his timing. And, at the end of the day, Jorge Masvidal knew in his heart that he'd lost a step. And I had been remarking to my crew where we were watching the fight that it's crazy, like even like the second fight with Kamaru, right? How much Jorge was getting hit and how much he'd been getting hit in the fights after that was such a significant difference between then and the early stages of his career. Like, he was just untouchable at points. And so the point is I had seen it too. I was seeing where he was kind of wasn't the same guy that he used to be. He wasn't quite untouchable in there. People were finding his chin a lot more than the Jorge that I had certainly come to know. And so, he kept it real with himself, and that's I think that's really cool, right? Because at the end of the day, that's one of his, that's kind of part of his brand, is keeping it real, right? And he kept it real with himself, and he kept it real with the fans, and he went out on top, and he won the BMF belt, bro. That's another thing. He got the fucking BMF belt, bro. So a super decorated career, man. They're definitely going to put this man in the Hall of Fame and whatever, whatever way they feel like they want to recognize fighters. I'm certain he's going to find his way into that recognition pool. He most certainly is going to deserve it every time. So hats off to you, homie. I'm really, really, really proud of you on a personal level. Went out there and made a whole lot of fucking money. Came from the gutters and you made it, homie. And, you're running your Game Bread promotions and just paying people fucking stupid money. And yeah, man, it's great. It's great. Jorge Masvidal is like the quintessential success story that you want to see in fighting. Kid from the street comes up, gets a bunch of money fighting, parlays that money into entrepreneurial endeavors of his own that are now successful, and sayonara, homie. That's great. It's as cool as it gets. Beneath that was Rob Font and Adrian Yanez, and it went about the way I was expecting it, but it was more lopsided than I was expecting. I was thinking this shit was gonna be like a potential fight of the night for real, and Rob Font just hits hard for a bantamweight. It's like he's got big hands, and like this is like a bigger skeleton than than the guys at bantamweight, right? It just carries more weight, translates a lot of power, and I think let's see where Rob Font is ranked. Oh yeah, number 6. Yeah, so that's a big step up for Adrian Yanez, who was at number 12, right? That's the first step up into the top 10. So, welcome to the top 10, homie. Get back in the gym, work real hard. I'm certain, I have all the respect in the world for Adrian Yanez, and I'm certain he's going to figure out what he needs to figure out. But, learned where you are on the totem pole today. It's a hard pill to swallow. But Rob Font at 6, what's next for that guy? Who's even above him at bantamweight? I mean, you've got Chito Vera, Peter Yan, Corey Sandhagen, Sean O'Malley, Merab Dvalishvili. I mean, whoa. That's a tough crowd to get in right there, bro. I mean, honestly, any fight with any of those guys would be great. It's just, all those guys, I mean, it's all guys who are like trying to get title shots and shit. And, it would be a situation where whoever he fights out of any of these guys, they would wind up probably being the next in line for a title shot, whoever wins, presuming he fights somebody above him in the rankings, right? They may make him gatekeep another fight or two, but I don't know, man. After what he just did to the number 12 guy who was trying to invade the top 10, it's going to be really, really hard to convince me that he shouldn't be fighting somebody above him in the rankings to try and get him moving towards the title shot. It's just cut and dry. Cut and dry. Let's see. Kevin Holland and Santiago Ponzinibbio. Kevin Holland got a knockout in the 3rd round. Straight right hand, dude. Crispy boxing. Kevin Holland's got that weird kind of deceptive power, right? You ever been in a fight and you fight a guy who's like long and lanky, kind of spindly? Those dudes, they bang. They hit hard. Hit a lot harder than you'd think. It's a different type of. It's like a snappy punch. Not really like a short, stocky guy who hits you and then punches through you and knocks you over. It's like a stings you, hits you really, really fast, knocks the piss out of you. I've been there, done that. It's not fun. I don't want to fight a guy like Kevin Holland. They punch hard. I'm cool on that. That's why armchair mixed martial artist, dog. I get my fill just watching it. Honestly, I don't even like to, if I go watch it live, I don't even like to be real close to the octagon, bro, because it's like fucking disgusting. Like when those guys get, or like you see those ground and pound punches, you don't think too much of it, bro. That shit is nasty whenever they're getting socked like that and you can hear the impact on the side of their fucking skull, bro. It's like, wow. That's why I don't do this shit right there. That sounds fucking awful. So, yeah, Go to a local MMA promotion where it's not super. I mean, it's going to be loud, but you'll be able to hear that leather smacking people's fucking skulls. It's a violent thing. But bro, Kevin Holland, big fan of Kevin Holland. Sucks that Jorge Masvidal retired, because that's a potential fight they could have done that would have gotten Kevin Holland a big payday, right? But again, that's preying on Jorge's downfall. You know what I'm saying? And like, who wants to be that guy and getting your ass beat on the way out so other dudes can, ride your coattails up and shit. Fuck all that. That's a miserable way out. But man, tough go for Santiago Ponzinibbio, man. He's been having a tough go at things. Luckily, he's a good-looking guy, real smart guy. He's gonna have options in the booth, as it were, doing analyst work and podcasting and shit like that. So, I mean, he's not done, obviously, but man, been a tough road for him here recently, and it don't seem like it's getting any motherfucking easier. And Kevin Holland needed the win too. I'm glad he got it. Man, Raul Rosas Jr. and Christian Rodriguez. Christian Rodriguez got it done, looked amazing, beat the fucking brakes off of Raul Rosas Jr. He got the decision, but it was clearly unanimous, and I mean, I feel like he could have gotten the finish. He just didn't seem like he really went for it, right? It seemed like Raul was so gassed that he really just couldn't even appropriately defend himself, and he even went and like made a tweet saying, "Sorry guys, I fucking didn't have the energy to do what I know how to do, or even try to do how I know what to do." So, is what it is, man. Like, there are levels to this shit, and he's so young. I hate that he's having to like learn these lessons in the national spotlight and shit. And maybe the UFC really believed that he was like a guy who had it. You know what I'm saying? But the striking, I mean, what do you like? What did he land? I don't think he landed any fucking strikes, bro. Yeah, this homie threw 2 strikes total the entire fight, and it went 15 minutes. And he threw 2 strikes. What are you doing? It's a fight. You gotta beat the other guy's ass to win. You ain't gonna do that not even throwing punches, homie. It looked rough. And I know that he was saying some time ago that he was gonna be a champion in the next year, and I don't think that's happening, buddy. I don't think that's happening. I ain't mad at him for being that confident. That's like a good thing. But yeah, he's got some work to do, man. Maybe even like go get that work done outside of the UFC, because I don't know what's next for him. You know what I'm saying? It's not, yeah, I mean, I don't know what's next for him in the UFC. They're going to have to figure something out. They might just need to maintain a good working relationship with him and let him go get some extra experience outside of the UFC, because his striking looked rough, man. I mean, it all looked rough. It all looked really rough, man. Just to be like really, really super fucking frank. And like, Raul's a bantamweight. He's 135 pounds. I'm 6'3", 300 pounds. That guy'd beat my ass. Like, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. It's just, man, it wasn't where, anyone in the top 15, bro. Anyone in the top 15 just munches this guy. And so, it just is what it is. He needs to get to, there's something to be built on. It's not like he's awful. He's in the UFC for a reason. And his grappling, is okay. It wasn't as abysmal as his striking, right? And I believe in Raul Rosas Jr., and I think he can put in the work, and I think he can get there. I really do, and I'm hopeful for him. And at 18, with the amount of talent he has, it's incredible. But at the end of the day, this is about Christian Rodriguez, man, because Christian Rodriguez came in off the Contender Series as well. Although I don't think he got the immediate nod like Raul did, but. Either way, he's a Contender Series guy too, and he looked fantastic, and he's climbing the ranks, and we're going to see what's next for him at bantamweight. At this point, I have confidence in him. You know what I'm saying? He looked good, so we're going to see what's next for the young man. But we got to move on down to the preliminary card. Ooh, Kelvin Gastelum got the decision over Chris Curtis, unanimous decision. He looked really good. It's one of those things where Kelvin Gastelum usually is only really getting beaten by guys who are significantly bigger than him, like the very, very top of the spear at 185. There are guys that are just much larger than him. And so whenever all things are equal and you're fighting someone who has physical advantages, they're going to win, And Chris Curtis didn't necessarily possess those physical advantages. They were about the same size. And, so Kelvin Gastelum handled him pretty effectively. I've always felt like, man, if Kelvin Gastelum could have fucking could have kept getting down to 170, he could have been a world champ, man. But, Mexican dude loves his beer and tacos. And, I'm not even being racist. That's some shit he said, bro. That's some shit he said for real. And I ain't even mad at him. All that weight cutting and all that craziness, bro, it really negatively affects your quality of life. Don't do it. You know what I'm saying? He's more concerned with enjoying his life here now than being a potential champion. And I ain't mad at that. Great fighter. He gets plenty of money and does what he wants and enjoys himself and gets to have his tacos too. He gets to fight in the octagon and get big money and eat tacos. Fucking fuck you. Kelvin Gastelum, king shit. For real. It goes right down to it. So good for him. Chris Curtis looked really good in his last fight, though, and neither of these guys are going anywhere. They're both great fighters. Michelle Watterson and Luna Pinheiro, man, I thought that Michelle Watterson won this fight. I don't know, man. They're saying damage. Luana? Yeah. Luana landed the bigger strikes, except, let me make sure I'm reading that right. My ass blind as fuck, even with my fucking glasses on. My ass rode around without glasses for forever, bro. I fucking didn't realize I was blind until me and my homie were riding around one time and I missed an exit. And he was like, bro, why'd you miss that exit? And I was like, I fucking couldn't read the sign, was watching traffic and shit and didn't get enough time to read the sign. He's like, bro, you ought to be able to read that sign from way out there. And I was like, well, I can't. And so we decided he was gonna mark in his mind when he could read the sign, and then I was gonna say when I could read the sign, and then we waited to see how long it would, how much faster he could see it. And the point is, he was able to read them signs way out there. I couldn't even make out letters on signs whenever he was reading them. So, shit, dog. Sorry. I'm glad I ain't kill nobody on the road. I had 20/20 vision whenever I got my physical in high school. My physicals in high school. Played football the whole time. Shit, they always think your eyes are great. So, either way. I love that the judges are prioritizing damage, right? That's the way it was meant to be, even according to Big John McCarthy, who literally wrote the rules, right? So, it's dope, right? It's a cool thing. It's just, I don't know, man. I felt like, honestly, man, Michelle Watterson did more damage, right? She landed way more shots. And, they might not have been the more damaging shots, but there were more of them. And, total damage. Neither of the girls really looked like they'd been super horribly beat up at the end of the fight, right? We're just going damage. Who looks worse? Well, shit, neither of them really. And so at that point, you should be able to go to, the amount of strikes and shit like that. So I don't know. I guess they felt like she had dealt more damage, and that was enough for her to win the fight. And I ain't mad at it. At the end of the day, I've heard some clamoring with people being upset about it, but fuck you. You're not a judge. Go do what you need to do to become a judge. Be the change you want to see in the world. Certain they're hiring. Because the fucking guys they got doing it now be doing some suspect shit. So I'm certain they're looking. Gerald Mearshart and Joe Pyfer. Joe Pyfer looked fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Keep an eye out on Joe Pyfer. Bottom line. Cynthia Calvillo lost the decision to Lupita Godinez. What else happened on here? Ignacio Bahamundes looked fantastic. Shout out Valley Flow striking out of Chicago. My buddy Noe trained with the guy who runs that gym back whenever he was still in the Valley in South Texas. That's where part of Valley Flow comes from. And, hey, man, that's probably all we need to talk about. It's been a half hour straight of talking about UFC 287. I do want to take a look back at the fights that happened between 286 and 287, which was only one set of fights. It's the fight night that was headlined by Vera and Sandhagen, and I have no problem admitting that I was wrongola about this one. I did not account for Corey Sandhagen's fucking grappling. Homie, went in there and did exactly what he needed to do. Bottom line, he got that fucking job done. And in convincing fashion. And so, we know who's where on the totem pole on that one. Holly Holm looked great as usual. She's done transformed into a fucking grappler, Greco-Roman type. She looks good at it. Nate Landwehr beat Austin Lingo. Macy Barber beat Andrea Lee. She looked really good. Albert Duriev beat Chidi and Jukwani. Let me see. Which, man, I was pulling for Chidi. Daniel Pineda beat Tucker Lantz. Let's see. Let's look forward real quick to the fights that are going to happen between 287 and 288. Oh, wow. They got a lot of fights between 287 and 288. Max Holloway, Arnold Allen, Edson Barboza, Billy Quarantillo, Dustin Jacoby, Azamat Mirzakhanov, Tanner Bozer, Ion Cutelaba, Pedro Munoz, Chris Gutierrez, Clay Guida, Rafa Garcia. These were literally all good fights. Every single one of these fights is a good fight. Yeah, I can't wait. That's going to be wonderful. Just wonderful. I don't know who's going to win between Max Holloway and Arnold Allen, to be really honest. I'm a big Max Holloway dork. I love Max Holloway, but Arnold Allen is 19-1 and on the fucking come up, bro. I can't force myself to bet against Max Holloway. I gotta pick Max Holloway in that one. Edson Barboza and Billy Quarantillo. I feel like Billy Quarantillo is gonna push the pace and break Edson Barboza. Hate to say it. I'm a big Edson Barboza fan, but he's got to be killing himself to get to featherweight. And, if you're going to compromise your gas tank by doing a huge weight cut, Billy Quarantillo is not the guy to fight with a compromised gas tank. If it is in any way compromised, Billy's going to motherfucking expose that. Light heavyweight, Dustin Jacoby, Azamat Mirzakhanov. I mean, he can't bet against Azamat Mirzakhanov, undefeated, Russian type, super. These Russian guys, the thing about them, it doesn't matter. I mean, you see the name Azamat Mirzakhanov, and you're immediately going to think he's a grappler, and he does typically grapple in his fights. But the thing that really strikes me about these dudes isn't that they're great grapplers or whatever. It's that they're great at devising game plans and following through on them, even when they face adversity, right? Mike Tyson said, everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth. Well, these Dagestani and Russian type fighters, they got a plan until they get punched in the mouth, and then they stick to that fucking plan. And that right there alone is the differentiator in a lot of fucking fights. And it very well could be the differentiator in this one. Tanner Bozer, Ion Cutelaba. Ion Cutelaba is always a fun fight. I'm a big fan of this guy. I remember whenever he fucking was playing chicken against somebody and the ref stopped the fight and he got super pissed. I don't know who to pick, though. I mean, I don't know who to pick. Yeah, it's going to be we're going to win. We win. The fans win this fight. Pedro Munoz, Chris Gutierrez. I can't believe. Well, this is on the main card. Cool. So that's a fun fight. That's going to be a really fun fight. Both these guys are known to go in there and throw leather. If I gotta pick it, I'd probably pick Chris Gutierrez. I hate picking against Pedro Munoz because he's a super talented guy and he's really, really good at what he does. But Man, I feel like Chris Gutierrez is on the come up right now, man. Yeah, we're going to be hearing a lot more about Chris Gutierrez. It's his time. I am betting against him. Clay Guida, Rafa Garcia. Everything in me wants to pick Rafa Garcia, but you don't pick against Clay Guida, so I got to call it a neutral. I don't know who to pick. I'm not even going to look at the preliminary card, but let's hop over to Fight Night. That's headlined by Pavlovich and Blades. Sergey Pavlovich and Curtis Blades. That's going to be a great fight, right? Sergey Pavlovich, he's like a striker, right? But I don't know if he's going to have the power to necessarily stop Curtis Blades from coming in and getting those takedowns like he wants. Song Yadong versus Ricky Simon. Brad Tavares, Bruno Silva, Bobby Green, big Bobby Green fan, versus Jared Gordon. Let's see. Then we got the Fight Night headlined by Armand Sarkarian and Renato Moicano. I love to see Renato Moicano headlining a card after the beatdown he took from RDA a few fights ago. He's obviously winning. They got him headlining fights. Good on him for having the resilience to come back from a loss like that because it was tough. Chal Paralho is fighting Michelle Olajaychuk. I guess that's Olajaychuk. I don't fucking know. That's a hard one, buddy. Sorry. You need to do more homework on this. I like Chal, though. I'm probably going to pick Chal. Rodolfo Vieira and Cody versus Cody Brundage. That's a real fun fight. Emily Ducote versus Poliana Vanya. Marcos Rodrigo de Lima versus Waldo Cortez Acosta. Such long names. Such long names. But then UFC 288, Aljamain Sterling, Henry Cejudo. This will be a real fun fight, man. It's going to be interesting to see how Henry Cejudo looks coming off such a long layoff. It's been a hot minute since he's fought, so it'll be, we're going to see. We're going to see. Charles Oliveira and Beneil Dariush. My heart's pulling for Beneil. My brain's picking Charles, right? Beneil's a real sweet guy. I like seeing sweet guys do well, but Charles is a sweet guy too, But I've had like a low key little fan boner for Beneil for a hot minute, but I can't pick him over Charles Oliveira. Jessica Andrade, Jan Zainan. Probably gonna pick Jessica Andrade in that one. I don't think that Jan has the strength to keep Jessica from exerting her will. Bryce Mitchell, Jonathan Pierce. Bryce Mitchell still fighting. Good on him. Thought he retired. They shouldn't be interviewing guys immediately after they lose. It's impolite. And guys say things that they don't necessarily mean. In the heat of the moment, they're emotional. They just lost time. It's a tough time. Don't stick a microphone in somebody's face whenever they're grieving like that. Kron Gracie versus Charles Jourdain. Cool to see a Gracie in the UFC again. And let's see what's happening on the prelims. Drew Dober versus Matt Steamroller Fravola. That's a fun fight. Kennedy Njoku and Devin Clark, the Brown Bear. That's a fun fight. I want to say that's a rematch. Maybe they fought and there was some type of something. I don't know. Either way. So yeah, that's up to 288. There's some stuff that's happening out there in the world that I want to talk about. Let's see. I got some notes on my cell phone. So, Izzy and Alex, for all respect afterwards, we touched on that. Izzy saying no Alex fight moving forward, touched on that. Burns accused Jorge of excessive lotioning. Right, said that he fucking went and put lotion on a whole bunch several times throughout the day so that whenever he sweated it came out and made him real greasy. Who knows? At this point, Jorge's retired. They can't fuck with him. No news on Francis Ngannou. I think the last thing I heard on Francis is that Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship was saying that Francis was asking for unrealistic amounts of money. Which, come on. If you thought BKFC was going to be able to afford Francis Ngannou, you were fucking crazy. Darren Till's now talking about boxing, which is dope. We'll see how that goes for him. I think it's going to be cool to see him go and kind of get his shit together and get on some good steroids and shit, and then come back, see how he does, have one more good run in him. Mike Perry versus Luke Rockhold in Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. I can't fucking believe that they got Luke Rockhold to go fight Bare Knuckle. I can't wait. So I'm tuning in. I'm buying it. I'm in there. We watching that one. Nunes Pena 3. Come on, guys. Is this really necessary? And if it is, don't you think they could maybe have a fight between? Like, I don't know, man. Like I said earlier in the podcast, I think they should let the beat build on some of these, not just immediately do rematches, man, because my interest in this is limited, to be really honest, and it makes me think of like GSP Matt Serra, right? They didn't do no GSP Matt Serra immediate rematch. Everyone knew Matt Serra wasn't supposed to win that fight. He had his night. GSP came back and got his fucking belt, and everybody moved forward with their lives, right? And that's what I feel like probably ought to happen here, but I don't know. I'm certain that Juliana Pena fucking feel differently about that, but you know, I'm real honest with you, bro. Amanda Nunes looked light years better than Juliana Pena in their rematch. And it seemed like there were several moments where Nunes could have finished the fight, and she didn't, for the sake of keeping Pena in there so that she could punish her. That's the way it felt whenever I watched that shit, to be real honest with y'all. So, I don't know. It just seemed like she was a lioness toying with her food. And I don't know if I necessarily want to watch another 25 minutes of Amanda Nunes toying with her food. Which, granted, that's what we probably get no matter who they put her in there with. But still. Listen, I hope it's a good fight. And good on Juliana Pena for getting the fight and getting this payday. Either way. So good on everybody all around. Corey Anderson versus Phil Davis over in Bellator. That'll be a fun fight. Bo Nickel versus Tresean Gore. That's a fun. I mean, it's a fun fight. It's more like, great, we get to see Bo Nickel maul someone halfway to death in the octagon legally. Cool. And then Miesha Tate's coming back again. We're gonna see. I can't remember who she's fighting right now, but you know, that's all the stuff I got right now. That's probably a wrap, guys. Hope y'all enjoy the new space. This is where I'm going to be recording for the foreseeable future. Hope you, again, had a wonderful Easter, or at least enjoyed your fucking weekend. You know, this is going to be coming out on Friday. So really, at this point, I hope you enjoy your weekend. I hope you enjoy this fight card headlined by Max Holloway and Arnold Allen. It's going to be a crazy fight. Let me know in the comments who you think's going to win. And thanks everybody for the good vibes. Love you all. Armchair Army, gang. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace out.
Monkey mouth.